Hi, my name is Patrick Maroney. I'm the author of It All Began with a Scream.
Um, Hello? Who is this? This is Roger L. Jackson, Ghostface from the Scream franchise, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There horror movie review podcast. So you like scary movies, huh? What's your favorite scary movie? And it better be the right answer, or I'll... Well, you know the rest. Thank you. You're such a lovely audience. We'd like to take you home with us. Or better yet, see you in your home.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. We really appreciate all support. You guys are awesome. We really appreciate all of our fans. Super excited for this upcoming interview. We have Padraic Maroney, the author of the already released It All Began with a Scream book. Padraic, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, man, very timely that we get to do this, considering the release of Scream. So that worked out really well for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Not to be confused with Scream of 1996, the Scream of 2022.
It's funny, when I was writing the book, it was before they had officially settled on a name, and I was actually interviewing Rory Culkin. I'm gonna name drop so hard during this podcast.
As you should. As you should.
But I was interviewing Rory Culkin, and he's like, "Yeah, so they're all gonna call this Five Cream, right? Like that's gonna be the name." He's like,
That's
"We're
what
all
we
looking
see
forward."
too.
And then that was actually Jack Quaid. The rap gif was a T-shirt of Ghostface holding 5 cartons of creamer.
That's awesome. And so, Patrick, we just had a kind of look behind the scenes for our audience. We just had Lynn McCree on, and that's kind of how we got hooked up with you. She had obviously nothing but amazing things to say about you. And I don't know if you listened to that interview. She did say that you were going to be mad at her because she admitted at the beginning of the interview that she maybe had you mixed up with another person writing a Scream book at around the same time. But anyway, can you kind of touch on, how this came to be, maybe like how the origins of you wanting to write this book came to pass?
Yeah, well, and first, can I just say, I did listen to the interview and I just smiled the whole time because Lynn is so great.
Oh,
I I think her and I were talking. I told her it would take 45 minutes of her time, and we were on for like 2 hours, and some of it was not even Scream related. So she's just such a dear, and we still keep in contact. I love talking with her, but yeah. So the book came about in the fall of 2019. I realized that it was the 25th anniversary coming up. It was before the new movie was announced, and I realized that there really wasn't anything out there for Scream fans. Halloween,
Has
Nightmare
two
on Elm
books.
Street. Well, there's a second book coming out. I hear.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Friday the 13th. They have 17-hour long documentaries. They have specials. They have multiple books and everything. And with how passionate the Scream fan base is, and how iconic and relevant these movies are, I was surprised that there wasn't anything. Right. So I'll admit that happened in 2019, and then I kind of didn't do much about it until the pandemic hit. Because we all had to keep busy, and so I kind of took it back out of the drawer. And the first publisher I went to, Bear Manor Media, my publisher Ben Omar was completely on board with it, and we were off to the races.
Yeah, man. So tell everyone a little bit more about the background of yourself. Are you a diehard Scream fan? Is it just something that you're? I mean, obviously you wrote a whole book about it, but I mean, are you diehard, and a little bit more about your writing background and anything else you'd like to share?
I've actually never seen a Scream movie, so this was
Yeah,
all new
yeah,
to
right.
me. No, yeah. Yeah, so Scream is one of like my go-to movies. The kind of my comfort. I can quote most of it, but
Absolutely.
I saw it opening night in yeah. I saw it opening night in 1996. My brother took a bunch of my friends and I, and it was one of the first times I saw a movie that was like, oh, look, a writer can actually make you feel all these different things. It's not just the actors on the screen, and it's not just this or that. So that kind of stuck with me because when I was in kindergarten, we had to do our kindergarten graduation, and I was the kid that was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Hollywood. I'm going to do that. And then I realized I didn't want to be an actor. So this was a way that I was able to find. And then I fell into writing. My English teacher in high school recommended me for the local newspaper that had a section written by teenagers. It was called Reality, and I started going to critic screenings and reviewing movies and doing interviews. I was like the 17-year-old mascot with like all the 40-year-old, 50-year-old critics. It was actually cool because I got out of school for it, but so, and Scream just always came back into my orbit as I was writing. I actually did a TikTok to promote the book, and there was something like 15 or 20 articles that I've written over the years related to Scream and the actors and Kevin Williamson. So I'm not saying I'm obsessive, but there's no restraining orders out on me.
Well, just from my standpoint, I have the two recent books on the Halloween franchise. I've got both of those. I've got how the big long book about how Freddy versus Jason was almost made 20 times. But Scream is my favorite horror franchise overall. I think it has the most consistent films. And so to finally have a book compiled about it, I was excited, man. I got to be honest with you because there was not a book about my actual favorite franchise, which is Scream.
And that's really why I wanted to make it. Is I was coming at it from a place of celebration. I mean, yes, we get into the creepy things that allegedly the Weinstein brothers did.
Yeah,
I think we
rightfully
have to
so.
say allegedly so that no one gets sued. Um, but
Thank
um, so it's like we get into some of the less pleasant things, but it really was a celebration, and I think it comes through in the book just how much the movies mean to the actors and the creators. Also, like, this wasn't just a job for them.
Awesome, man. I just want to let's jump into your book now. I just want to commend you for actually writing it because I know I've heard so many people say I'm getting ready to start a YouTube channel. I'm getting ready to start a podcast, but never do it because they don't believe in themselves or etc. or just don't put the effort into it. So I commend you for writing this book.
Absolutely.
That's awesome of you,
Thank you.
man. I got to skim over it at work today. I'm going to read the whole book when I get the
Yeah,
chance,
I am
but
too.
let's take a deep dive into your book, man. What all does your book contain? Does it what kind of stories are in there? Maybe some on-set stuff. I know there's interviews which we'll touch on later, but tell our audience about your book, man.
Yeah, so the book's out now, so people can get it. I want to make sure that it was out in time for the new movie. Um,
Absolutely.
Good idea.
And yeah, it kind of touches on everything, from the beginning, the casting. I know for me, it's always fun to see like who could have been in this role. So I want to make sure I had that on set stories from the actors and the filmmakers, kind of what happened when each of the movies was released, and along with having the actors and the filmmakers, I have a couple of pop culture experts that I interviewed about how the movies are still relevant in pop culture and what they did what their impact was at the time and now. So I really tried to make sure that I was giving a full, well-rounded look, warts and all,
Right.
of the Scream movies.
Right.
Do you have any favorite interviews that you can? I mean, obviously, you don't want to
They're all
you don't
your
want to
favorite.
spoil everything. You don't want to spoil everything, right? They're all your favorite. Come on, everybody's got a favorite kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
but do you have any favorites out there that hint around? Give us a little bit of to kind of.
Wet their whistles, maybe.
There you go.
Yeah, it's hard to say like my favorite interview, but there are favorite stories from them.
There you go.
Like I mentioned, Lynn was great, and I know she talked on the podcast about um, how it was in the script that her and Liev Schreiber had to kiss, but she tells a story in the book about how she had to kiss the actor who played Billy's father and how it wasn't exactly the most copacetic. Um,
Mm.
so there was that, and some of the stuff with the Weinsteins, the alleged Weinsteins, those are fun stories too. Like Marco Beltrami was saying that they sent people to his brother's wedding to like pick him up right after the ceremony to go do some work, and Nico Tortorella, yeah, like crazy stuff, and like yeah, Nico told Bob to fuck off basically at a group cast dinner. So so there were a lot of great stories. Some things that I couldn't even include. The one thing I will say is everyone was so generous with their time. I was asking them to do this out of the kindness of their heart. So many of them then would send me photos that I included in the book. Phil Pavel, who played one of the detectives in Scream 2, actually sent me his Scream 2 script. I felt like I was like holding like gold or something. Like I was like, if anything happens to this script, like I'm dead. Like he will send Ghostface after me. And like they were giving me contact information for other people, you know, and I was able to go back to them if I had follow-up questions. So it really was such a great experience for my first book. I don't know how future books will hold up to this. I'm a little scared.
So is that in your plans to kind of do some more and continue on with it?
Yeah, I actually have already started my next book. It's about the Final Destination series.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, hey,
So
awesome.
um,
Okay.
it,
Well, if you need some podcasters to give you some bullshit quotes, we're more than happy
okay,
to.
sounds good. Yeah, yeah. I'm at the beginning of it. I'm just starting to reach out to all of them. I was originally had another horror series I was supposed to do, but another book came on the market, and I didn't necessarily think there was a market for two books, and
Right.
so we switched to Final Destination, and it feels a little bit closer and like a better fit going from Scream to Final Destination.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm excited about it.
So, and this isn't necessarily about the book per se, but just from my experience on trying, I mean, it's almost a full-time job to
It
kind of
is.
try to track down agents and track down just to get in touch with some of these people. And I know for a fact, because we've experienced it, if I could somehow get in touch with cast member themselves, they're like, yeah, well, that's no problem, I would love to do it. But getting through their agent to them, and I guess they're kind of the gatekeeper, sometimes they don't even check with them. Like, how hard was it to get this amount? I mean, you had a lot of interviews in this book.
Yeah, there's 30 interviews. It's funny. Some of them were super easy, and and it was funny because I was talking to one of my old bosses, a friend of mine, and we were going through the list of people that we thought would be like ones that I should target first, and we're like, Leah Schreiber will never. He's like he's Ray Donovan now. Like he's super
Right.
serious. Like he's never going to want to talk to me for this little book. It's not like I'm a big name or anything. And he was the second or third person who agreed. And I think his name then helped.
Yeah.
And I think that was a lot. Like, once I got a couple names, I could go to the publicist and say, these people trust me already. Won't you? And there were actually a couple that were like, come back to me when you get a few more names, or if you get this person. So it was kind of a little bit like putting puzzle pieces together. But there was one actor who I literally went through his publicist to his agent to his old agent to his manager. I went through like 5 people just to be told no. And then I met him at a convention over the summer, and one, he knew nothing about the book, which I wasn't surprised about.
Right,
But
Exactly.
but then like he saw a picture of himself in the book and was like went running over to show a co-star from the movie, and they were like, remember this, look at this, so it was really cool that like in the end, like, he did appreciate what I had in the book. But you're right, there are a lot of gatekeepers you have to go through. There's some that just were flat out like, no, like, no way, no how. Others that are like, we can't right now, if you come back. Or there was one who, she's like, are you in LA? Like, I can't really get this actress to do the interview, but if you come to this event, she'll be there and you can get a couple minutes with her. So like, there were some that really wanted to work with me. So it is, thankfully it was the pandemic, and it was the beginning of the pandemic when we weren't allowed out, so I had a lot of time on my hands.
And to me, it just kind of shows, when we talk about Lee Schreiber, it just kind of shows what special place the franchise has for the people who were in it, because them being so willing to talk about it in a loving way, almost, just kind of skimming through it earlier at work today. It speaks volumes about the franchise. I got to ask you before you go any further, my man, because we do this all the time as fans, and you seem to be a pretty big Scream fan yourself. One, have you? I'm assuming you've seen the new movie, but and since you have, rank the franchise for us, man. Rank the franchise for the people.
Okay.
There's not a bad Scream movie, so let's start out with that right now.
I agree.
But I do 2 rankings. I do one based on actual, like, how much fun they are and like how much I'm gonna rewatch them versus what I think is actually the best Scream movie. So in terms of rewatchability, I go 1, 4, 3, 5, 2.
Okay.
And then in terms of being the best made, I would probably go almost in order. I would probably go 1, 2, 4, 5, 3.
Okay.
And in the book, you'll see there were a lot of problems with 3 and 4, but I think 3 is probably a little bit of the black sheep of the family, and you either love it or it's kind of, I don't hate it, but it is a little different from everything else.
Well, and plus, when behind some of the behind the scenes stuff, I mean, your interaction with some actors and actresses, like we know, can affect how you view the movie.
Absolutely.
And view that character, and also just your love for the franchise. I mean, a lot of that kind of stuff can definitely affect that sort of thing for sure.
That's the one thing. Like, I know Kevin Williamson always said, never meet your idols. And after 20 years, I still haven't met Kevin Williamson, and I'm beginning to take it personally. I've been trying. I feel like for this book, I actually, like, I reached out to his publicist and they said he wasn't available right now. And then I was working with someone else and they were like, oh, I'm going to see Kevin this week. Why don't you write him a letter? I'll give it to him. So like, he literally had a letter from me, which was weird to think that he's reading a fanboy letter from me, but that's a therapy session. But like, everyone I talked to was super nice. Like, there wasn't anyone out of the group that I got off the phone and was like, dear God, I'm glad that was over. Like, everyone was great to talk to. Everyone was super fun. And just a great addition to the book.
Yeah.
You can leave this detail for the book because I'm sure it's in there, but I have to ask you, as a fan who doesn't really know the exact reason, why did it take 10 years to get Scream 4?
So really, there's a couple reasons. One, they really did plan for it to just be a trilogy, so they all thought they were done. And I do have a chapter in the book about the movie Cursed that was supposed to be the big Scream reunion and the clusterfuck that was. That took like 2-3 years of their lives. Um, you know, the Weinsteins and Wes and the Weinsteins and Kevin just
Right.
were not on good terms afterwards. So I think it took a little bit of time for, you know, feelings to mend a little bit, for fences to mend. And then, I actually asked people, were you surprised that Wes came back for Scream 4? And no one that I talked to was surprised. So I think it just took a little bit of time for them to come around to that.
Gotcha. So, is there anything else you want to kind of discuss regarding the book? I mean, tell us all you can tell us.
Yeah, well, you can find it anywhere online. It's from Bear Manor Media, so at bearmanormedia.com. But it, as a first time author, I geek out also because I'll be looking to see if there was like an article that came out about the book or something that I missed. And like I saw that the Los Angeles Library bought a copy, and like I'm in Philadelphia, but
All
and I found
right.
myself in the Philadelphia Library. They didn't have it, but like you could recommend it, and like little things like that. Just I was like, this is how I know I made it. I'm in the library. You know,
Right.
I don't need anything fancy. I just need to be able to see myself. And I'm like, I think it was even like on Target's website, like it's anywhere that you could possibly buy books.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think anyone who enjoys the Scream series will enjoy the book. Like I said, it came from a place of celebration, and but I don't think you even have to be like a diehard Scream fan. I
Yeah.
think it really, like it's a lot of people I know haven't seen the fourth one, or haven't seen some of them
Oh,
in
one of the best.
years. The 4 is my favorite sequel. Like I will watch that
Same.
before anything
There we
else.
go. There we go.
So, okay, wait. So I have to ask. Okay, a little bit of a spoiler with the new movie. You guys have all seen the new movie?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
It's not a like real spoiler, but they do have the Easter egg that Kirby's alive.
Yeah, we talked about it last
yes.
night.
And I talk in the book. I asked Rory what his thoughts were, if he thought that he let her live or if she died. But I feel like it's like that cat in the box thing where it's like you always want to know the answer if it's alive or not. But like now that we have the answer, I'm like, I kind of wish she was dead. Like I loved Kirby, but like now that I know she's alive, I'm kind of like, well, she should have died. Like sorry.
Well, I don't know. What? Like we were talking last night. In my opinion, because I'm just like you. I love Part 4, and I love
do too.
Kirby so
Yep, me
much.
too.
She's probably of all the sequels my favorite. I'm going in there. Probably my favorite non big three cast member.
Right.
But I would say in the next one, because we all know that they're going to make a sixth. I'm sure with all the money that this make.
Yeah.
If the big, since this was kind of a farewell to the big three, I think that kind of opens the door for some of these secondary characters who survived, the first four movies to kind of come back. And I would love to have her come back and almost be in the role kind of like Nev Campbell was in this past movie. Something like that. I would personally. That's just my personal.
Just don't make Kirby a ghost face. I don't want that at all. I want her to be Kirby, not ghost face.
I think that's what my fear is. Like she'll come back, but she won't be the Kirby that we know and love.
Right.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Like that's what I'm afraid of with how much time has gone by, and with as well as the new writers and creators did. I'm just like I love her, so I don't want her to come back and not be Kirby.
Right.
So like that's why I'm like at this point I would rather just just let her go. Let's let her live in our memories the way we remember.
I did think it was a fun Easter egg once I noticed it. I didn't notice it until after I got home and somebody had posted it in a Reddit thread, and I was like, oh, I missed that during the Dead Meat James scene, which I thought was, a really fun scene in and of itself.
Yeah.
So
They must have lost our number, to be in
yeah,
that
I
film or what
I don't know what happened. Maybe maybe the next Scream, they'll feature the podcast here.
Yeah. Scream 6
uh,
is all you guys.
there we
Oh, there you
go.
go.
So I have to ask, what were your thoughts on the new Scream 2022? Since we have you,
So I liked a lot of things. I had some issues with other things. Like I
spoiler
felt,
warning, everyone. Spoiler warning. Here we go.
yeah,
There you go.
real spoiler warning this time.
Yes.
I felt like kind of going in like with the Kirby thing. I kind of felt that there was a little too much fan service. As cool as it was to see Skeet, like, did we need to see him 5 times throughout the movie and help her find the knife? Like,
We talked about that last night too, but that kind of felt like a little bit of a jab at Halloween and the revival and the direction that franchise went. That's the way that I interpreted that anyways. It was a little bit of fan service, but also a little bit of a kind of poking fun at what Halloween had done with generational trauma and all of that stuff.
Don't get me started on Halloween, because Halloween H2O till I die. Like, H2O shows trauma so much better than Unabomber Lori that we get now. Like, okay, so they wiped out Halloween. So not to go off on a tangent, but literally, I'm going to, because I'm going to I'll probably end up writing a Halloween book because it just bothers me so much. They retconned out.
You sound like me right now, so I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead.
They retconned out Halloween 2, so Michael Myers randomly attacked her once, and she becomes the Unabomber for 40 years, living on this compound, ruined every relationship that she's had. And, like, there's no reason for her to think that he's going to come back. Like, he's in jail. Like, at least in Halloween H2O, like, he was still her brother. She faked her death. She was trying to be normal. She just liked her drink at lunch. Like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Here was my problem. And leading into Halloween 2018, I was a fan of retconning everything as a general idea, just to do something different. We've gone all these crazy places with cults and all Men in Black and all this other stuff. So I was a fan of something fresh. But this most recent sequel, Halloween Kills, all the scenes that take place at the hospital are 1,000 times more terrifying if Michael Myers had already set Haddonfield Memorial on fire and burned alive. That makes those scenes a lot, because he's been to the hospital, he's attacked Laurie in that hospital, they rebuilt it, whatever. So I just kind of felt like they could have kept Halloween 2 canon if they were going to just do the same thing they did, which was put a bunch of scenes in a hospital.
Wait, here's a question for you. I put this on my Instagram for the book. Who has the worst hospital system, Haddonfield or Woodsboro?
I
don't know. It's pretty bad. And police. I
was going to say the police work is tied.
Like, I'm not going to either of those hospitals. Like,
no,
take me somewhere else.
Well, the hospital in this most recent film, you can pay me to step foot in that thing. They just let any old body walk in that place.
Let me just ask you this, because I am, I jumped up and down whenever we reviewed 2018, and this will be the last thing I talk about Halloween. But what do you think about this? Because I mean, if she was going to be the Unabomber for 40 years, and I wish that she had been, because she was drinking that night, I wish she had been the one that ran into and wrecked the bus and caused Michael Myers to come back for again. Like, to me, like, I think that would have been a great, like, full circle and just ironic as hell.
Yeah, like, give a reason why. Like, other than Dr. Sargento or whatever his name was. The shredded cheese doctor. You can tell how much I love this new trilogy. Yeah. Although watch Halloween Kills as a drinking game every time they say Evil Dies Tonight.
Yeah.
That'll make it amazing for you.
You can do
You'll
It
that.
be
changes
dead
the
by the end
experience.
of it.
You're gonna die tonight.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna die tonight.
You could almost
Yeah.
make a drinking game. You could almost make a drinking game out of how many times this new Scream said elevated horror. I think it's 5 times that they mentioned that term, and I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, that's that. All right, I get it.
I do like
We
your
get-
idea
yeah.
of them going elevated horror for Scream 6, making fun of elevated horror at that.
That
point.
was my idea to go with.
I do like
Just
that
make
idea.
fun of that whole thing. Make it art house or A24 style Scream or something. Like I just don't know where else you can go.
Yeah, like I think one of the issues was that I've heard people say is I think they were trying so hard to make Mindy the new Randy that she came also off a little aggressive.
I
And
agree.
I don't know that we need an aggressive lady to be telling us, because she didn't even tell us the rules really. Like Dewey did that, so like
Very
I need
true.
her to just simmer down a little bit. So
Hey, if all else fails, just bring back Matthew Lillard as one of the Ghostface. Just do it for me. Do it for only me, the only man that actually wants to see it. Let's have it happen.
Hey, I'll go watch it.
you obviously haven't been on Facebook where everyone thinks that Stu's alive.
Yeah.
So
Feeling woozy here, man.
he's woozy and then had an 800-pound old style TV drop on his head.
Absolutely.
Well, Patrick, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much, man.
And I know for a fact that a couple of us are going to buy the book too. I know you sent it
Yep.
to us for free, but we want to support you in this
Thank you.
endeavor for sure. And
Absolutely.
it all began with a Scream by Patrick Maroney. You can find it anywhere. Please go and check this out. I don't think you'll regret it.
And
don't
Pat,
either.
before you go, I just want to shout out your Instagram as well. Go follow him on Instagram. It began with a Scream book. Social media is, rules our lives now, it seems like. So make sure you go follow him on social media as well on Instagram. It all began with a Scream book. Or it began with a Scream book, excuse me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Any final
Thank you,
thoughts before we
Patrick.
let you
We
go,
appreciate
Patrick?
it, man.
Oh, thank you for having me. I think, I tried to make the book as fun as possible and include as many fun stories as possible. So I think it's a fairly quick read, and I think people will enjoy it. So, yeah.
Well, hey,
Thank
this has been fun just sitting around here talking about Scream. And listen, in 48 days probably, or however long it takes for them now to get from the theater to digital, we're going to be reviewing Scream 5, man. We'll give you a call back if you're interested in coming back on. We'd love to hear your opinion on it.
I will be back anytime you guys want me. This was so much fun.
Well, thank you.
Go buy
again,
the
man.
book or I'll gut you like
Thank
a
you.
fish.
Just want to remind everybody,